Hey guys, this week's video is about you can't get enough of what you don't really want. So let me explain what I mean by that. I've got a client here doing an intensive with me at the moment, which is something I do over a 3-day period. We get to talk about this kind of thing for 3 days straight, which is just my idea of heaven, to be honest with you. But we've been having fascinating conversations about the nature of insecurity, right? So that's something that I wanted to talk to you about today. So insecurity is the very foundation of anxiety. And it's the thought that we won't or can't be okay unless we do something correctly, unless we do be or have something correctly, right? So I won't be okay unless I can leave the house whenever I want to. I won't be okay unless my kids behave a certain way. I won't be okay unless I have a certain amount of money. It's quite often it's linked to money, status, being able to do things. And we have insecurity when we feel like we can't or we don't have those things. And that's what it's the basis for our kind of underlying rumble of anxiety, right? I should be able to go out and do this thing, and I can't do this thing, and if I could do this thing, everything would be better. And it's all just a mass of insecure thinking. And how we can recognize insecure thinking is that it feels crappy, right? As soon as we feel crappy, you can bet your bottom dollar that we are experiencing insecure thinking. And what we've been pointing to as we've been coming through this program is the better the understanding that we have about how the system works, about how we create our experience through thought, about what thought really is, about how seriously we have to take any of our thinking, but especially our insecure thinking, then that insecurity starts to, although it may show up, it's like we take it less and less and less seriously. So I'll give you an example. One of my colleagues, Dr. Amy Johnson, she talks about, it's kind of like you have this backseat driver, right? You have this backseat driver as you're driving the car. And he says, supermarkets are scary. You're going to have a panic attack. Get out, get out, get out, right? And at the start of this program, as I talked to you about, it's like, we know what to do at a given level of consciousness, a given level of understanding. So while it looks to us that supermarkets are scary, this kind of like chap in the back is he's telling us to get out the supermarket. That actually looks like common sense, right? That's common sense, that's wisdom showing up. And so we leave the supermarket. And then what happens over time is as we shift our level of consciousness, so right here supermarkets look scary, the best thing we know to do is get out of them. Up here, we start to have a different understanding about how thought works, how our thoughts are brought to life through our consciousness, that we have this access to this really cool thing called mind that's kind of got our back. And the more we start to see about that, the more we start to see that the little voice shouting in our ear is actually the backseat driver, right? And he's saying, get out, get out, get out of the supermarket. But all of a sudden, our wisdom points us and reminds us of the fact that he can't make us do anything. Like, we don't have to listen to him. We are not our thinking. We are separate from this. Like, who we really are, which is what we're going to be talking about more next week, who we really are is not impacted by this. This can shout all at once. We don't have to buy into the story of the backseat driver. We don't have to do as he says. Now, back here, like at this level of consciousness, not doing what the backseat driver says is like the only way to do that is through willpower, right? I'm gonna white knuckle it. It's like, imagine if you give up smoking and he's saying, smoke the cigarette, smoke the cigarette. The only way through it is to white knuckle, and like willpower will get me through this. And if I can just hang on in the supermarket through this panic attack, then I know that sanity lies the other side, right? It's like white knuckling our way through our panic and our fear and making ourselves go out of the house and feeling the fear and doing it anyway and letting it wash over us and all that stuff that just feels painful and horrible and hard work. And we've tried all that and it didn't work anyway. is really different from suddenly seeing that I don't have to listen to the backseat driver. The worst that can happen when the backseat driver is shouting and shrieking at me is that I have to sit in an uncomfortable feeling for a while. And an uncomfortable feeling is just the flip side of another thought. That's the worst that can happen, is this uncomfortable feeling where the backseat driver shouts, I don't have to pay him much attention. I'm no longer compelled by him because I see the truth of what he really is. I see the truth of thought. It's just thought. It's just thought. And until you see that, it's not just thought. It's horrible. It's compelling and it's all consuming. And you just have to do what he says. And that's fine. Like, you know, you have permission for me to do that. But at some point, the insight is coming your way where you see that you don't have to buy into it. That this is just insecure thinking. And it's going to make you feel crappy while it's there. But there's nothing it can do to control your behavior or your actions. So you'll start to shift from going out of leaving the supermarket, just to continue using that example, being the best thing you could do, right? The best wisdom you could have. And then starting to kind of catch wise to the nature of thought and it just not looking like it's compelling. And then as you start to see more and more in this direction we're looking in, your mind quietens more and more and you start to see more and connect into mind and have a deeper relationship and start to see more about who you really are. He just stops showing up. It's like the cabs that you heard about in the very first audio. He just stopped showing up. I took my daughters to Disneyland in Paris and I'm like, where are you? Like, I'm fully prepared for you to show up, but like I kept checking the back seat and he wasn't there, despite my best efforts to go look. Some of you have asked me, really, Nick, is this really, it's gone forever? And it's like, yeah, continue the metaphor, I drive around in my car, I go where I want to go. Sometimes there's a glimmer of him in the back seat, right? But he just shows up and it's fine. He's like, not an old friend, but it's just something that shows up every now and again. You know, there'll be like grumpy old get off the motorway man here and you should be a better mother over here. Yeah, blah, 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 right? Like it just doesn't impact me the same way. It's like I see through that thinking. So sometimes there's a shimmer of all my demons in the back seat, but I'm not really that fussed. They can show up, have a bit of a squabble, and then they go again if I don't take them so seriously. So I wanted to share that with you because we look around us and we see people driven by insecurity all the time. They feel a sense of lacking. They feel they need to do, be, and have something else in order to be okay. And this might be, you know, for you, your experience of anxiety might be because you've driven yourself so hard to do, be, and have stuff so that you can get rid of that insecure thinking. Because when we start off our level of consciousness, like where we think the world works outside in, the only way we know how to resolve that insecure feeling of lack is to go out in the world and control and change the world. Right? I need to have more money. I need to have a bigger car. I need to have more friends. I need my husband to behave like this. I need my kids not to behave like that. And that's where the control freakery comes from. When it looks like we need to change the world outside of us so that insecure feeling will drop away. And that's why you can't get enough of what you don't really want. Because it's not helping. It won't help. It doesn't make the insecure feeling go away to get more money, to get a job, to be able to travel further from the house, to have your kids behave a certain way, to eat more food, right? Like none of those things will satisfy that insecure feeling because it's not coming at you from the outside. It's not coming at you because you don't have enough money or because you can't travel from the house or because your kids are behaving a certain way. The feeling of insecurity comes through us. It's an insecure thought. And the only thing that we need to do to let that insecure thinking, this quiet down, to let our insecure thinking and our feeling of lack, the only thing we need to do to solve that is nothing. And here's my prop. I emailed some of you this week and said, I need my prop before I can do the video for this week. And this is my prop. I'll get a glitter ball here, right? And this is a thought storm, right? This is what we do when we're having anxiety and we're winding ourselves up with our thinking and scaring ourselves with our thinking. And you see that? Like the glitter swirls around and it storms around, but you know what? Like, all I have to do for the glitter to settle is nothing. Because the default of this glitter ball is calm and quiet and empty and settled down. There's nothing you need to do about insecure thinking, because insecure thinking is just shaking the snow globe. And trying to do something about it is actually shaking the snow globe further. So the more we see that our natural default is this, the less we get involved in trying to shake the snow globe to try and sort it out, which, by the way, is pretty much every other anxiety program out there. It's just shaking the snow globe further. You know that when you came into this program, the amount of relief you guys had when I gave you permission to stop shaking the snowball was huge, right? But look what happens when you just stop shaking it. This is its default, is clear and clarity. But you know what's also really cool? It's like, you're this. You're the outside of the snow globe. Doesn't matter. You can have as much going on in there as you like. This is unaffected. This is like our sky and clouds metaphor, right? This is untouched by what's going on inside the glitter ball. It's habit-free. It has peace of mind. It's fear-free. It's anxiety-free. It's unconstrained. It has freedom. It has limits. It's limitless. It's untouched by what's going on inside it. So really, we're free to shake the snow globe, let the snow globe settle. The more settled we are, the better experience we'll have of life. But the truth is that we can't be, we're unbreakable. Doesn't matter how much the glitter flies around in there, it can't break the globe. It's cool. So I want to leave you with that. And next week, we're going to come back and talk more about this whole topic of who we really are. Okay, so it's a deeper level of the conversation. It's like, who are we underneath all of the noise and the clutter of our thinking? Like, what's really going on underneath that? Like, what's the foundation that we step out from? Who are we really? And I've also got a wonderful masterclass to share with you from a great teacher next week as well. So I'll be back with you to talk to you about that next week. Take care.